All right, so welcome to the first real lesson other than the welcome and introduction in this first module. And it is on basic tech terms that you should know. And this is just to lay the foundation for what we're about to learn in the next lesson, where we're really diving into artificial intelligence. And I just want to make sure that you're going to keep up. So let's get into it. The first one I want to talk about is a word that's thrown around all the time. You probably heard it before, especially in regards to social media, and that is algorithm. But an algorithm is simply a set of instructions or rules that are used to perform a specific task. So let's take a very simple math equation, for example, add 2 plus 3. So let's say that I input that and I was going to make a simple algorithm to make this calculation. It might look something like this. Step 1, start. Step 2, input the first number. Input the second number. Step 3. Step 4, add the two numbers. Step 5, output the result. And that would be the end of basically this equation, this computation. So as you can imagine, algorithms are a lot more complex than that, but I'm going to be taking a lot of complex ideas and trying to break them down into, simplified explanations just for the purposes of demonstrating and getting you this knowledge. And this is a screenshot from my book, TikTok Mastery for Music Artists, where I talk about the TikTok algorithm, specifically when it comes to the For You page. So if you have TikTok, you know that when you open it up, there's this For You page, and it's kind of like where you can browse to see what's out there on TikTok, what's going viral. But more importantly, this is where they are going to serve you videos that they think that you are going to like based on your past behavior, based on things that you search, based on things that you like. So notice how it takes in all of these different signals into account and then is going to prioritize the content that it shows to you. I want you to notice how each of these factors are different sizes, and that's because they have different weights of importance. So for example, watch time is the most important. It takes into account other small factors like your country setting or your device type, or if the video has captions, but ultimately those things are not going to play as much of a role in whether or not that video gets shown to you than the time that you spend watching the video, or the time that collectively people spend watching that video, which basically signals to the system, hey, this is a good video, it's worth watching, it's keeping people on this platform, so show it to more people because they're more likely to engage and watch it for a long amount of time as well. So that's algorithm. Next up, we're going to talk about hardware. And I know it might seem very intuitive, physical components of a computer or electronic device, such as processor, memory, and input or output devices. Our phone is a hardware. Our computer is a hardware, right? And that might seem obvious, but maybe what's less obvious is that one iPhone requires 46 elements to be created. For example, cobalt, 60% of the world's cobalt mining happens in the Democratic Republic of Congo. And as a result, there has been huge contentious issues around child labor law, exploitation, workers' rights. And if you want, I'm going to list here, it's called The Real Price of Your Cell Phone. It's a documentary on YouTube that really talks about something that we just take for granted, like the newest iPhone, what really goes into producing an iPhone and all of the different natural elements and minerals that you need to have it operate. So I definitely recommend watching that on YouTube. All right, so next up, we're going to be talking about the opposite of hardware, which is software. And software are programs, applications, and operating systems that run on a computer or electronic device. For example, I made this presentation in PowerPoint. I'm recording my screen and my audio using a software called Loom, and Monterey Mac iOS is my operating system. So that's pretty intuitive, but there's an analogy that I learned about in college. It was my first semester at UC Berkeley. I was taking a philosophy class, and I learned about the computational theory of mind, CTM, which claims that the mind is like a computer. And in this analogy, the brain is the hardware and the mind is the software. Now, I'm about to give another example that kind of holds these parallels, but this is going to be important to remember when we go into our next lesson, where we're talking about AI with something called deep learning. All right. But let's talk about another term that you should know, the internet, another one of those terms that we take for granted. So you can think of the internet as the hardware in the sense that it's a global network of computers and other devices that are connected together. So we are talking about, a physical device that is basically in a network where it's able to communicate with other physical devices. And on top of that, we built the World Wide Web. And that's an information system that's built on the internet, on the hardware, that allows users to access and share multimedia content such as web pages, images, and videos. So again, we kind of see this parallel of the hardware and then the software being built on top of the hardware. And again, I'm just setting up the foundation for the next lesson. So stay with me. This is going to make some more sense. But next up, we're going to talk about encryption. Encryption is a process that's used to keep data safe by converting it into a secret code that can't be read by anybody who is unauthorized. So let's take it uses complex mathematical encryption uses complex mathematical algorithms. So again, we have that word algorithm, but now we know it's a set of rules or instructions. So let's take an example on how encryption works. So let's say that I want to give my friends a note and say, hello, friends, meet me at the park at noon. And I create a set of rules to decode this message because I don't want anybody else other than my friend meeting me at the park or knowing that I'm going to be there at noon. So my set of rules is that the letter A now becomes D, B becomes E, so on and so forth. So now my encrypted message might look something like this. And we can see that it's meaningless to anybody who doesn't have the rules to decode it. But lucky for my friend who does have the set of rules, they're able to easily decode that and then receive a message that's just for them. And that's very similar to the way that encryption works. But obviously, this is a simplified version, and real encryption that's happening on the internet is way more complex than that. All right, SEO. Let's talk about search engine optimization. So this is referring to the process of returning the best search results when you enter a keyword into a search engine like Google. So if you Google my name, I would say that I have pretty good search engine optimization results. We see that it's all me. There's pictures of me. It pulls from my Instagram. There's like a little reel remix that I did with Kaila, the producer. It pulls from my YouTube showing one of my music videos. It has all of the links to my music. And if you were to scroll down, you would also see that it has my website. So all of the search results on the first page, and I think at least the first 4 pages, are all of me. So that I would say is great SEO, great search engine optimization, because I want people to Google my name and be able to find me. Now, note that the AI tool that I'll be showing you in the next module pulls from your Google results as just one source. But as we know, that can be a main source, right? When we want to like look into somebody, peer into somebody, the first thing we do is Google them. So if you're not Googleable, then that means that you also may have limited success with using the open AI tool that I'm going to show you in the next module. It doesn't mean that it's impossible, but that's also why I want to talk about SEO and bring it up as a basic term that you should know, because that is a step that you can start right now. Even if you're, just really curious about this AI stuff, you aren't ready to delve in, you need to have your SEO on lock. And you can do that by having a really solid website with backlinks, making sure that all of your music online, your YouTube has all your keywords, has all your metadata. And that's actually going to bring me to my next point, which is metadata. This is data that provides information about other data, but let me give you an example because this is particularly important for us as musicians, especially in the world of sync licensing. If we take a song, an MP3, and we want it to be an MP3 and not a WAV, one, because the file is much more compressed and smaller, but 2, MP3s have a greater capacity to code metadata in them than WAV files. So MP3, we take a look at this icon. It doesn't tell us anything about the song. It's simply just an icon. And that's why metadata can tell us about the artist, the genre, the label, the song titles, the album name, and the ISRC, which stands for the International Standard Recording Code. If you distribute with, TuneCore, CD Baby, DistroKid, or like I use the United Masters, you'll be familiar with the ISRC and why that is so important. So metadata is definitely something that you are going to want to know about as an artist, even again, if you're not using AI, but AI will also call on metadata for certain processes. So that's why I've included it in the basic terms that you should know. And the Also, just in a nutshell, metadata makes your music discoverable. So again, when you want to be discoverable by having great SEO, by making sure that your music has all the right information, and that is what's going to make you discoverable, not on Google, but also with the AI tools that I'm going to teach you about. So next up, we're going to get into that introduction to AI, so don't go anywhere.